Hi, my name's John Cordy and I want to thank you for watching the channel and subscribing and liking and commenting and all that stuff. It makes it easier than talking to myself alone in my room, as it would be without you. Anyway, so over the next few days I'm imagining that Deep Gympact is going to leave quite a few sort of suggestions for things that I have promised that I would do if we reach this milestone. Say we, you know, the channel. There's a few of us. Anyway, and don't believe what he tells you, don't believe his lies. He will make up a lot of stories, none of which are true. Anyway, so I wanted to do a little short video about kind of thinking outside of the box with the HX Stomp. So if you cast your mind back maybe sort of 10 years or so, amp in a box type pedals were kind of all the rage, and that was sort of one of those things. So I think there were Wampler, for instance, made the Tweed 57, you know, a lot of companies did like a Marshall in a box type pedal. More recently, Origin Effects seemed to do like a fairly serious attempt at this sort of stuff with the Revival Drive, which I think actually contains sort of like mini transformers and stuff to try and emulate amps. I think part of this maybe with some companies is like a way to market a pedal. So you say, you know, this particular pedal sounds like a Dumble in a box. Does that really actually work out in the real world? You know, like if you put a drive pedal in front of a Vox AC30, do you suddenly have like a Dumble sounding amp, or do you just have a drive in front of a Vox? Some of it seems a little bit kind of marketing bullshit, particularly from a specific company who sort of like just put out a Zen drive in it. Anyway, so enough about that. So the idea here is that you use the preamp versions of amps in the HX Stomp as a way to kind of use those kind of amp in a box type sounds in front of whatever you're using. So in that intro that you saw me using there, what I'm doing, I've got the derailed Ingrid at the very front of the chain in a preamp format, and so what I'm doing for the clean tone there, I've got the litigator turned off, bypassed, whereas for this tone, I've got the litigator on, and then I've got another tone here, which is the derailed Ingrid into the litigator. So you're mixing up these kind of two things. So you've got the preamp from a Trainwreck classic amp into a Dumble style amp, which is, you know, not a combination that you'd see much of in the real world. So here's without the Trainwreck. And the reason that I like this is that you've got a few different options with the kind of preamp versions of these. I'm thinking of them really as drive and EQ type models. Because you've got the drive at the start, and then you've got bass, mids and treble on most of them, as well as on some you've got bright switches, like a derailed Ingrid specifically you've got a bright switch, you've got a sag parameter there and a hum parameter as well, so you've got kind of more control than you would with a traditional kind of pedal up front there, and you could even toggle up further drive settings. And by using both the preamp, so you've got the preamp in front and then the litigator afterwards, I'm finding there's quite a lot of tonal shaping options, even more so than if you had just a drive pedal and a traditional amp kind of setup. And something that's not necessarily possible in the real world. You know, you typically wouldn't put a real kind of preamp in front of an amp, so you wouldn't have like a Trainwreck going into the front of a litigator, traditionally anyway, I don't think. But these kind of combinations are possible, so maybe give that a go. Maybe if you want to flood the comments with your favourite amp in a box pedals, I think mine might be the Dude, which is sort of Dumbled-y. So maybe you could try chucking the litigator preamp in front of the litigator amp even. Let's just try that now actually. Preamp, 9.6 litigator, so here's without, here's with, drive up, here's without, and again we've got a sag and hum parameter on there. So here's just the litigator preamp. We can turn up the master on there as well. So really kind of useful way to do this sort of stuff. So think about your Marshall in a box pedals, think about your Fender in a box pedals, think about some of the things like the Origin effects, which I guess can do kind of Mezza, Trainwreck, Vox type tones, can do like the whole gamut, and try putting those combinations together and let me know if there's any that you think of that work really well. So that litigator preamp into the litigator amp I think works quite nicely, and likewise where I started with this was that Trainwreck into the litigator. Just kind of doing this amp in a pedal kind of idea, but with a real kind of modelled preamp of a real amp. Yeah, catch you in a bit. Thanks for watching. If you want to like and subscribe, you could. There's a button for that.